And by the way, the enemy came so hard for this video. My camera stopped like 6 times. God is so great because I prayed over the camera. And I promise you, since I prayed, it ain't stopped. Oh, Jesus, you amazing. The enemy don't. You know who my Jesus is. You must not know. Hey guys, so today basically we're going to be talking about something where I'm sharing a bit of my experiences with indoctrination. So let's start out by, so the word indoctrination basically means the process of teaching a person or a group to accept a set of beliefs uncritically. And it's amazing because the example for this on Google says, I would never subject children to religious indoctrination. And so in this way, we already see the world systems in place for the Antichrist, where it's trying to make us seem like we're the bad ones. We're the ones indoctrinating people. And it's crazy because in reality, sometimes it's very true. Indoctrination to false doctrine has entered the church, where it's like people are walking around believing in false doctrines without even questioning it, because they believe in the prophet that's teaching them, because they believe in, the person who's teaching them as a man of God, woman of God. And so they are indoctrinated into false doctrine. So this happens in the church too, but today we're not going to be talking about the church. We're going to be talking about the universities. So indoctrination through universities. I am now a junior in college, and throughout my senior year in high school and my freshman year in college, I've been through a lot. My freshman year in college, I've been through like a lot of things when it comes to my mind. And so what I realized was that I was basically in the process of indoctrination through my school. Like what I was learning in my school was literally teaching me a set of ideals that go against everything that I've learned as a Christian. And so it happens in the schools all the time with kids, where we teach them what is sound, but then they enter the schools, and the schools kind of mess with their brain, and they psychologically twist things around to make them feel and think a certain way. So by the time of my freshman year in college, I was into feminist ideologies and belief. And it's crazy because when you go into the universities, it's rampant in the universities. I promise you, because I'm in it. And I see it, and I've experienced it. I've been in the classes. I've heard the thoughts, how they think, everything. I know all of that. And so when you go to university, you have to take, many universities require you to take a liberal arts class, where it talks about African American studies, or it talks about women and gender studies, all this other stuff. You have to take it. It's a requirement. So it's not like, oh, we don't have to take it. No, you have to take a liberal arts class, where they basically try to open up your mind to new ways of thinking, try to educate you. And this is something from the enemy that has been introduced to go anti-Christ, because 9 times out of 10, the things they teach in this liberal arts class are anti-Christ. And so that has a lot to do with the feminists and the liberals. I found myself in a class about race, gender, and something like that. And it's funny because in high school, I was in that class. I chose it, and I really loved it. Like, I loved it. Like, I was all about that. And it's funny because we thought we were so woke. We thought we we had the system figured out. We thought, we played the system. In reality, the system played us. We thought we knew everything about, the patriarchy and the white man and the this, that, and the fifth. I was all into that in high school. So when I entered into college, and I was required to take this class, I was like, all right, man, I'm gonna take another one, because I took a class like this in high school, and I loved it. You know what I'm saying? And so I entered the class, and then they gave us these series of books to read, and we had these discussions, and it's so amazing when you sit there and you listen to them. They really think. Like, I'm telling you, this is pure indoctrination. They accept this stuff without even thinking, and it makes sense. I'll tell you why it makes sense. Because me, when we're focusing on feminism and what it's doing nowadays, it's slowly deteriorating and destroying the system that God has made when it comes to man and woman. And the thing is, it's destroying our men to a point where it's making them more feminine. And I see that all the time. And so what's happening is the woman is becoming more masculine while the man is becoming more feminine. And it's just an upside down of God's creation cycle, right? And so when it comes to this type of stuff, with me, it's like, throughout all my life, I've seen examples of men just not living up to what God has called them to be. I've seen them not being able to love their wives. I've seen them not being able to take care of their children. I've seen them not being able to say a kind word, not even be able to like encourage your wife or say something kind. I've seen them in the church. I've seen them outside of the church. That's all I know. And so when I enter a class like that, when all you really know is the negatives really about men, and you enter a class that's trying to explain why they're like this, and they say it in this intellectual way as if they have so much knowledge, and then you're young, you're in college, you want the new stuff, new experiences, and so you open up your mind to receive it, right? And so they started telling me about all this stuff. I started reading these books and talking about the patriarchy and how, the movies and all this, and how it's a system built to get people to think certain types of ways. And so they tricked us into believing, we were brainwashed by something to believe this way was right. And throughout the whole thing, it's like they were basically kind of focusing. And so they pinpoint it, they make it as if like the religious folks are like the evil one, and they're the ones that are making us think this way and all that other stuff, and how the woman should be able to do this, and basically slowly deconstructing the structure that God has put before us when it comes to man and woman. And because of the fact that men are slacking in their responsibilities in what they are supposed to be as men, this gives the enemy a place to come in where the leadership is basically not being a leader. The enemy has a place to step in and do what he wants now. And so he has stepped into the vulnerability, that the hurt that has been left on women, because men don't know how to love. Men don't know how to keep their promises. Men don't know how to be there and just be a man. And so now we have a whole bunch of hurt women. The enemy comes in and he spends it to his advantage, right? And so now it's funny because their agenda is so anti-Christ. It really, really is. What they do is they slowly deconstruct God's system. And how do they do it? They do it in the most ignorant way possible. They do it by broad generalizations. So what they do is they zero in on a negative group of men, and they take their characteristics and their traits, and they try to broadly generalize it and be like, all men are like this because that's how they've been taught, the system, the society, the this, that, and the fifth, right? And so now that they have made the men look like this, now that they have overgeneralized it, right? Now you have a whole bunch of angry, hurt, bitter women who need healing, walking around angry and mad and pissed off at men who probably never did anything to them, right? And so it is all a system. That's how it's made. It's designed to make you pissed off. It's designed to make you want to rebel against the authority, right? It's designed to make you all pissed off at patriarchy. It's designed to make the men slack back and not do their work, not do what they're supposed to do. It's designed to make them look stupid and make them look dumb and make them look feminine. That's not the design for a man, right? And so what has happened is the enemy has done that. That's what he's done. He's taken people's vulnerability. He's taken people's inability to rise up to the responsibility of a man, and how it affects women, and he has changed it around, and he's made it in a way where now you have all these angry, bitter women talking about men ain't this, men ain't that. It's just crazy because it's a whole system. It's a whole system. It's a whole system. It's engraved into the school districts now, where people are learning about all these liberal arts, progressive stuff. And if you don't accept it, you're uneducated. If you don't accept their opinion, you're uneducated, right? And it's like they want to be open and progressive to everybody else's ideas, but the ideas that contradict and go against their own. So everything is good. Let's just be all inclusive until you come against me. That's how it is, right? And so if you don't line up with our liberal ideas, you're uneducated. That's just it. And so that's what has been introduced into the school systems. And so we need to know that, like, us as young kids, as the enemy will always try to take our our vulnerabilities. He will always try to take what hurts us. He will always try to take that to make us hate God's design, to make us hate God. You understand what I'm saying? When I entered into college, and I was just learning all this stuff, even from my English classes, learning all this stuff, telling me, oh, gender is subjective, gender is this, that, and so just basically tampering with the fabric of my brain, right? And so that's what they're doing to our kids, to our Christian kids. That's what they're doing. And then add that with maybe this kid don't have a father in their life. Maybe this kid, doesn't have a mother in their life. Maybe this kid is struggling with their sexuality. Do you see how easy it is then for them to grab our kids in? So it's all a system. And so we have to be aware of that system to understand that, one, not everything they're saying is true. Because now, even to this day, like, I still have to deal with what has been said. I'm not going to blame it all on the indoctrination on their part and what they have taught me. I'm not going to blame it all on the feminists because, like I said before, like, my life has taught me that men, end up slacking 9 times out of 10, right? And so when you add that, going to school and learning that stuff to it, it just makes it even worse. So that's why it was so difficult for me to accept the idea of submission. It was very difficult because I'm like, I'm not submitting to no dude who don't even, you know what I'm saying? Like, because that's all I've seen, right? And so it's made it so much harder. And now that I think they put the system in my mind where it's like, oh, the patriarchy and oh, the man and the woman and this, that, and the fifth and all that other stuff. And they don't want you to do this because they feel like you can't do it. All that other stuff, rise above it, show them that you could do it. Now, all that in my mind is like, it affects my thinking. It really does. And to this day, it's like a battle where it's like, where am I going too far and where am I really safe, right? Because it's not to say that this stuff doesn't exist, like the whole thing with the patriarchy. It does exist. It does. But the way they take it is purely on the agenda of the enemy. So basically that was it. That was my experience. And I thank God because although throughout the whole process of this happening, there was always something in the back of my mind and my spirit telling me like something's off, you know what I'm saying? Like when it actually started in college, really. In high school, I was just all in it. But in college, I started to see something was off. I started to see that my professor really hated God. I started to see that she was just off, you know what I'm saying? Like something was off. And I started to understand that this stuff isn't quite right. So I hope that this helped you guys in some way, shape, and form. And there are some classes you're going to have to take in order to graduate college. But just take them with a grain of salt, knowing God's truth against theirs. So that's all I have to say. Until next time, see you guys next time. God bless. And by the way, the enemy came so hard for this video. My camera stopped like 6 times. God is so great because I prayed over the camera. And I promise you, since I prayed, it ain't stopped. Oh, Jesus, you amazing. The enemy don't. You know who my Jesus is. You must not know.